Hello, everyone. In this session, we're going to take a look at the proctored midterm exam review problems. Okay, so question one, I'm going to simplify square root of 27 x to the fifth, y to the third. So let's first actually split up each of the terms. We have square root of 27, then square root of x to the fifth, and square root of y to the third. We can split up square root of 27 further. That's square root of 9, square root of 3. With x to the fifth, we're going to split it up as square root of x to the fourth, square root of x. You're always going to split up so that you take a single x term out if it's an odd power, so that you end up with an even power in the other root. Same thing with y to the third. We take out square root of y, and that leaves us with y squared. Because when you take a single y out from y to the third, you have y squared left. Okay, so let's look at square root of 9. This becomes 3. Square root of 3 remained under root 3. Square root of x to the fourth becomes x squared because of square root. What it does is with an even exponent, you divide that by 2. Square root of x stays under, and square root of y squared. We take 2, so the square root divides the exponent in half. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it comes out of the square root. Then you have square root of y. We're going to put together everything that came out of the square root together, 3xy, and then put everything that's still under the root together as the square root of 3xy. I forgot the x squared there. And so this is the solution. It looks like it is option or the third option. Okay, question 2, factor the following 25y squared minus 64. This is a difference of perfect squares because we know the square root of 25y squared is a perfect square, and so is square root of 64 is a perfect square. We can think of this as 5y squared minus 8 squared, and then that factors as 5y plus 8, 5y minus 8. And that's in general, a squared minus b squared factors as a plus b and a minus b. Okay, multiply and simplify the following rational expressions for number 3, x squared minus 9x plus 14 over x squared plus x minus 6, x plus 3 over x minus 8. We're going to factor each of these parts, x squared minus 9x plus 14. So how we factor that is what multiplies to 14 and adds to -9. That's going to be, let's see, 7 and 2, with both of them being negative. So we know that's going to factor as x minus 7, x minus 2. And then if we look at x squared plus x minus 6, we do the cross method, and you look at what multiplies to the last term, -6, and the b term, which is the number in front of x. So what adds to 1 and multiplies to -6, that's going to be positive 3 and minus 2. So we have our factors as x plus 3, x minus 2. And then we'll just bring down the x plus 3 and the x minus 8. And we can cancel these x minus 2s. These x plus 3s cancel out. So we're left with x minus 7 over x minus 8. Number 4, let's solve the equation for x. 6 equals 8x minus 2. So first, to get x by itself, let's add 2 to both sides of the equation. So 6 plus 2 is 8. And then the -2 plus 2 cancel out. We have 8x. And then we can divide both sides by 8. So 8 divided by 8 cancels out. So x is isolated, and 8 divided by 8 is 1. So we have x is equal to 1 as our solution. Of course, you can double check by plugging it back in, right? You can plug 6 equals 8 times 1 minus 2, and double check that 8 times 1 is 8. 8 minus 2 does give you 6. So for questions like this, always just plug it back in to double check your work. Oops. Number 5 says to solve the inequality. You have negative 3x plus 1 greater than negative 4x plus 11. Get for inequalities, get all the x terms on the left hand side. So we add 4x to both sides here. Cancels with negative 4x on the right. And then you have negative 3x plus 4x, which is 1x plus 17. It's greater than 11. Actually, we don't really need to write the 1 in front of x. And then we subtract the 17 on both sides of the equation. Oh, I misread my own handwriting. That should be greater than, right? So it's actually, I thought something was off. So we're subtracting 1, not 17, because I've misread my inequality as a 7 that was greater than. And so 1 minus 1 cancels out, and you're left with x is greater than 10. Okay, how you would shade that on the number line is at 10, you're going to have an open circle because it's just strictly greater than, and then we shade to the right of that because x is greater than 10. And as an interval, we write parentheses 10 to infinity. If this had an equal symbol, right, if it was greater than or equal to, we would shade that in. But because it's just greater than, we leave that circle open at 10. Okay, number 6, multiply the following complex numbers, negative 8 plus 6i times negative 5 minus i. And then for this one, we do the FOIL process. We do first times first, negative 8 times negative 5 is positive 40. And then outer, negative 8 times negative I is positive 8i. Inside terms, 6i times negative 5 is negative 30i. And 6 times 6i times negative I is negative 6i squared. Okay, combine like terms of 8i minus 30i is negative 22i. Let's just bring the minus 6. I squared, okay, I squared is equal to negative 1. So if we replace I squared with negative 1, we'll get 40 minus 22i plus 6. And 40 plus 6 is 46. And then let's bring the minus 22i down. So there it's in the standard form, a plus bi form. Okay, number 7, subtract the following complex numbers. We have 11 minus 10i minus negative 8 plus 3i. Let's first distribute the negative. We have 11 minus 10i. That can come off the parentheses because there's nothing to distribute. If we distribute the negative, we have plus 8 minus 3i. Then combine like terms, right? 11 plus 8 gives you 19. Negative 10i minus 3i is negative 13. So we have 19 minus 13i. Okay, number 8, we are going to choose the rational numbers. So what are rational numbers? Rational numbers consist of fractions, right? Or integers, decimals that end, or infinitely repeat. Okay, so infinitely repeat. And so rational numbers, so they're fractions. So, okay, 4 over 3 is one of them. 5.3748, this is a decimal that ends. Then we have integer, negative 4. Square root of 20 is not one of them, so we are not going to have that. We have 0.646446, so this is not repeating. So we don't want to do that. And then 0.373, that's not repeating. And so the only rational numbers here is 4th over 3, -4, and 5.3748. Okay, number 9, let's simplify 4y to the 4th over u to the 4th times 8u to the 6th power over y. We can rewrite this so that it's the y's are kind of in one parenthesis. So I'm actually going to switch that around. And that's allowed because this is multiplication, and multiplication is commutative. What that means is I can write 3 times 2 as 2 times 3. Okay, so if we rewrite this, we have 4y to the 4th. I'm going to write y times 8u to the 6th, u to the 4th. And with exponent rules, when you divide, okay, there is an exponent of 1 here. You subtract the exponent. So you have 4 and 4. You subtract the exponent. So 4 minus 1 gives you 3 times 8. U to the 6th, u to the 4th. You subtract 6 minus 4 and you get u squared. Let's just multiply 4 times 8. We get 32 y to the 3rd u squared. Okay, 10, solve the equation by factoring y squared minus y minus 72. So I'm going to do that cross method. What multiplies to your c term? What two numbers multiply to -72? And add to the b term, -1. Two numbers that do that are -9 and +8. So that's going to go in my factors. Y minus 9, y plus 8 equals 0. And then you set, once you factor, you set both of your factors, equal to 0. So y minus 9 equals 0, y plus 8 equals 0. Here we would add 9 to both sides, and we would get 0 plus 9, which is 9. Subtract 8 on both sides. We have 0 minus 8, which is -8. So the solution set is -8 and 9. Okay. Another one by factoring. So again, x squared plus 3x plus 2 equals 0. What multiplies to the last term? 2. And add to the b term, the middle term, 3. That's me 2 and 1, because 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So that's going to be my factors, x plus 2, x plus 1 equals 0. Set both of these equal to 0 again, and solve for x. Subtract 2 gives us 0 minus 2, which is -2. Subtract 1, and we get -1. So our solution set is -1 and -2. Okay, let's see what next. 12, we want to find the midpoint of the line segment with endpoints 13, 6, and -2, 0. So I guess we would need the midpoint formula, and that's you add the x1 plus x2 and you divide by 2. The y value is going to be the sum of the y values, and you divide by 2. I'll go ahead and label this x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so let's plug it into the midpoint. So we add the two x's, 13 plus -2 over 2. We'll add the y, 6 plus 0 over 2. We'll just simplify. 13 plus -2 is the same thing as 13 minus 2. So we get 11 halves. We can't simplify that, so we'll leave that alone. And then we have 6 plus 0, which is 6 divided by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is just going to simplify to 3. So we have our midpoint, 11 over 2, comma 3. Okay, number 13, finding the distance between the 2 points 1, 7, and 5, 9. And it wants us to keep the exact answer in radical form. So let's write the distance formula. It's the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And we'll again label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's plug it into the distance formula. X2 is 5 minus 1 squared plus 9 minus 7 squared. And then you have 5 minus 1, which is 4 squared, plus 9 minus 7, which is 2 squared. And that'll give us 4 squared is 16, plus 4 gives us square root of 20. We can factor 20 out as square root of 4, square root of 5. And square root of 4 is a perfect square, so we have 2, and square root of 5 stays under the root. Okay, 14, find the slope of the line through 2 points, -3, -8, and -9. So the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Go ahead and label your points x1, y1, x2, y2. We use the formula, let's plug it in, -9 minus -8 divided by 8 minus -3. A negative and a negative makes it positive, so we have -9 plus 8, 8 plus 3. -9 plus 8 is -1. We have 8 plus 3, which is 11, so we have -1 over 11 as the slope. You find the equation of the line through -5, -8, which is parallel to the line y equals 8x plus 5. Give your answer in the form y equals mx plus b. Okay, so if it's parallel, right, we know our slope is going to be the same, which is 8. So I'm going to use the same slope, 8. Then I'm going to use -5, -8 as my x1, y1, and use the point slope form of the equation, which is y minus y1 equals m. It's x minus x1. And that'll help us get the y equals mx plus b form. So we have y minus y1, which is -8, equals m, which is 8, x minus x1, which is -5. And we know negative minus negative is positive, so we have y plus 8 equals 8, x plus 5. Let's distribute the 8, we get 8x plus 40, y plus 8 on the side. And let's subtract the 8 to get y by itself. And then we get y is equal to 8x plus 32. It's our slope intercept form, or y equals mx plus b form. Okay, 16, find the equation of the line 8 through -6. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that. Perpendicular to the line y equals x over 3 minus 7. So I can rewrite this as 1 over 3x minus 7. If it's perpendicular, it's a negative reciprocal, so our perpendicular slope is negative 1 over 3, so we have to do the reciprocal of that. And so 8, I'll label as x1, y1. And then a similar method as number 15. I'm going to write y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1, use that point slope form. So we have y minus -6 equals -3, x minus 8. Distribute the negative, we get -3x plus 24. Then we have y plus 6, subtract the 6 away on both sides. We get y is equal to -3x. 24 minus 6 is positive 18. So there's our slope intercept form, or y equals mx plus p form. Y equals -3x plus 18. You find the x-intercept of the line, y equals -3 over 2x plus 9. So if you want to find the x-intercept, you set y equals to 0. So we set or substitute 0 in for y, and we have -3 over 2x plus 9. We subtract the 9 away because we're trying to solve for x, and that'll give us the x-intercept. 0 minus 9 is -9, was -3 over 2x. In this case, we can do to cancel fraction. What you would do is, actually, let me split this into 2 parts. We can multiply both sides by 2. We're going to do that first because that'll help us cancel that 2 in the denominator. We have 2 times -9, which is -18, equals the -3 is still there, -3x. And then we're going to divide by -3 on both sides. And that'll give us x is equal to -18 divided by -3, which is actually positive 6, right? And negative over negative is positive 6. So our x-intercept is 6, but as an ordered pair, you write 6, 0. You find the y-intercept this time of the following line. For y-intercept, you set your x equal to 0. So let's substitute y equals -2 over 5 times 0 plus 12. Any number times 0 is 0, so we have y equals 12. And so our ordered pair, our y-intercept is 0, 12. Is our x value is 0, right? And the y-intercept that we got was 12. 19, let's solve the system of this equation. And to do this, I'm going to use let's use the addition or elimination method. And I'm looking at the 4y, and I want to make that a 16y. So let's multiply that first top equation by 4. And that'll give us 32x plus 16y equals, let's see, this will be 640. And then we have negative 30. So the equation down here, I'll just copy and have 32x minus 16y equals negative 192. And the reason why we're doing this is so that we can cancel the y terms here. Because if we multiply, this should be positive. If we multiply 4 by 4y, you can see how 16y and negative 16y would cancel if we add those two together, the two equations together. And so 32x plus 32x gives us 64x. These y's would cancel out. And then 640 minus 192 would give us 448. Okay, so now how we would solve for the x term is just divide both sides by 64. Okay, I feel like I made a sign error somewhere. I don't know if you guys noticed it. Let's see, let's just double check. 4 times 8x is 32x. 4 times 4 is 16y. 4 times negative 160. There it is. So this should say negative 640. Okay, this is what happens when you rush. So if we add negative 640 and 192, we get 832, or negative 832. And then if we divide by 64 to solve for x, we get x is equal to negative 13. So now we found x, we can solve for the y value by just plugging in x into one of the equations. I'll just plug it into the top equations. So 8 times negative 13 plus 4y equals negative 160. 8 times negative 13 is negative 104 plus 4y equals negative 160. We'll add 104 to both sides. And then we get 4y equals negative, let's see, double checking that in my calculator, negative 56. And then we're going to divide both sides by, and divide both sides, let me just bring this by 4. We have y is equal to negative 14. Okay, so we have x equals negative 13, y equals negative 14 as our solution. And you can plug that back in to both the top and the bottom equation just to double check your work. Okay, let's see, number 20, the last one. Solve the equation for x, 10x minus 6x minus 12 equals 6 minus 11. So first, before you cancel anything out, make sure you combine like terms on the same side. I see 10x minus 6x. You can combine that as 4x minus 12, and then you can combine 6 minus 11, that's negative 5. And then what we do to one side, we need to do to the other. So we can add 12. Our goal is to get x by itself. We have 4x is equal to negative 5 plus 12 is 7. And then we divide both sides by 4. And you get x is equal to 7 over 4. I hope that helped you prepare for the proctored midterm. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and good luck with your midterm exam this week.